Welcome to NARAL's The Morning After. Each Thursday, our podcast brings you the latest on reproductive health care, progressive politics, and the fight to keep abortion safe and legal. NARAL's The Morning After is a production of NARAL Pro-Choice Ohio. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at ProChoiceOH. Enjoy the show.
Hi, I'm Randi.
I'm Jaime.
I'm Gabe. So we had a lot of activity here in the state of Ohio this past week, culminating with last night's primary election. Over the weekend, though, we had nearly every candidate for president. Only who? Rubio?
Yeah.
Rubio wasn't in Ohio. Everybody else was here, including appearances by both Hillary and Bernie at the Democratic Party's legacy dinner. And then later that evening, Sunday night on CNN at a town hall. Randi, what do you think about the town hall?
I didn't know they were at the legacy dinner. Now
Yeah.
I feel really upset that I didn't get a ticket. But anyways,
Supposedly Bernie cut his speech very, very short because he had to get to the town hall.
Yeah, I think he
okay.
he had the worst timing of the two, because the town hall, since he was earlier, he had to get out the door of the dinner.
Oh, okay.
So he got cut a little short. But.
Yeah. Oh, well. Yeah, so they were, so Bernie was here. He did a town hall on OSU's campus. And then Hillary did a town hall in Springfield, Illinois. Was this on Monday? Yes, on
Sunday.
Sunday.
Oh,
They
Sunday.
both did it in Columbus.
Okay. Sunday, but it aired on Monday though, right? Or maybe I'll just
They
watch it
replayed it over and over and over and over again. So
Oh,
you
okay.
probably watched it on one of the other days.
Yeah, I probably watched it on Monday then. So anyway, yeah. So I thought they were, I watched both of them. They came on back to back when I watched them. I thought it was both very interesting. The interesting thing that I took from Bernie's town hall is that one of the students got up and asked him about, Wall Street and big business. And his question I thought was interesting because he was like, I'm a college student, I'm a finance major, and I plan on working on Wall Street. And, you're obviously very against Wall Street and big business. And he was like, well, if you're president, how is that going to affect somebody like me who wants to go into that, kind of work? And he was like, well, basically Bernie didn't back down. He was just like, I don't like Wall Street, and I think that what they've done is really terrible. And he was like, if I'm president, maybe you'll have to go work at a community bank. And I was like, okay, I don't think that's really the answer that people want to hear. But I mean, fair enough. You're sticking to your guns. I mean, we can't get rid. Obviously, I mean, I agree. I don't think what Wall Street did is a good thing. And I think a lot of what they do is based on greed. But at the same time, it's like we still have capitalism, and I think that's fine. I mean, you still have the right to become a billionaire and hoard all that money if you want to. I mean,
Right.
that's what it is. Not to say that that's necessarily right, but
Bernie considers himself a democratic socialist.
yeah.
There's some democracy involved in democratic socialism.
Yeah.
That's more towards the democratic side of things.
Exactly. So I just thought that was really interesting, exchange. And then Hillary had a town hall with Chris Matthews, which there wasn't as many questions. That was just more, her going back and forth. But I thought it was good. And she got the interesting question from that was when he asked her about, her saying that she's not a natural politician, and the differences between her and Bill, because he's obviously a natural, and why she's not a natural. And I thought she gave a good answer. She was just like, well, I'm not. She's like, I'm not gonna pretend that I'm taking you to these heights of admiration. She was like, I think that when I have a job, I do a good job. And she was like, I'm running on the fact that I will do a good job, which a lot of times many people people want to feel, it's like the president. It's a lot of stuff that happens after you become president that we probably don't know about, that you have to do a lot of balls in the air. And it seems like you would want someone who has the experience and who will do a good job.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of people are just because we're humans, we're oh, we want someone to make us feel like, oh my God, I love
It's a
them.
revolution.
And then, yeah, exactly. Which
Yeah.
I mean, nothing's wrong with that either. But at the same time, it can't just be all, well, Which I think that's why a lot of people, you know, not to say anything bad about Bernie, because I like him too, but I think that's why a lot of you hear a lot of people saying that if Trump doesn't get it, then they'll vote for Bernie, or if Bernie doesn't get it, they'll vote for Trump.
Even though they have no policies anywhere near each other.
None. But I think that's the reason why they say that, because it's like they're both like, you know, we're going to start a revolution and it's going to be great and we're going to do all these big things. And people, I mean,
that stuff drives me nuts, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the people who work down at the state Democratic Party headquarters, all of them are working to try and make change on all of these issues that the candidates are campaigning on.
Yeah.
You know, the idea that somehow, you know, political parties aren't attempting to help.
Yeah.
You know, the two political parties, they're not the same.
No.
They quite often in important issues believe in opposite things. You know, they're each doing what they feel to be working for the greater good. You know, I definitely feel much stronger that the Democrats are working towards for good than the Republicans are. But the idea that you just somehow are going to break through outside of that system.
Yeah, it's not realistic.
It's not at all.
I mean, we saw it with Obama.
Yeah.
I mean, if you compare the way Bernie is running this cycle to the way Obama ran in 2008 on his hope and change, is exactly what that was. Hope and change. I'm going to do this. I'm going to close Gitmo. He's almost out. It's still open.
Yeah.
You know, like all of these, you know, we're going to have this, we're going to work together. We're going to work across the aisle. I'm going to change Washington.
Yeah. The way that it was built, the way that the founding fathers built it, built the Constitution, built the 3 branches of government, it was not built to be like overturned and become some radical thing that we're now going to do this. Of course, there's things that we can do that, of course, like healthcare, like, of course, there's things that we can do that are, you know, big things, and we should try to do big things. But at the same time, it's like, you know, that's why we have realists and dreamers, because the realists keep the dreamers grounded, but the dreamers help the realists to, you know, try to dream a little bigger. But you have to be both, like, and I feel like, you know, I'm a pragmatic person. And even though, you know, I want progressive things to happen, at the same time, it's like, I still realize that unless we change the system and decide to abolish the system, you still have to work within it. And this is, you know, we have to get things done right now.
I mean, if we really want political revolution, you need a third party.
Yes.
I mean, you can't have political revolution with a two-party system.
Yeah.
It's just not going to work.
I think the problem on top of that is that 3 parties cannot exist at the federal level in United States government. Like, I believe that 6 would, or 12 would, or 25. 3 cannot exist.
Yeah.
Because one of the 2 main parties is always going to absorb that third party or their, you know, their supporters or their views. 3 parties cannot exist.
Exactly. Which is why Bernie said he ran as a Democrat so he could get more media coverage.
Right. You know, I'm like, dude, you can rise quickly through the ranks like Obama did. You can rise gradually through the ranks like Hillary's doing. You can't skip the ranks.
No.
You know, you can't just do an end around past all the other people who have been working for these issues through the Democratic Party, through the system, and just say, well, I disagree with your system, make me your nominee. That's never going to work. There's no chance, 0 chance that Bernie Sanders becomes a major party nominee because he doesn't participate in the party system.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
But then you can't participate in support. System.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I agree that we need more than 2 parties. I absolutely agree with that. How are we going to get there? At what point? I don't know if we will ever get there. But, you know, like I said, I'm for, you know, progressive big ideas. I'm just also a realist that, you know, if we want to get certain things done, you still have to we still have to work within the system that's, you know, being created, unfortunately, until we can, like I said, abolish it and do something else.
Well, and the thing is that, like, radical change doesn't happen at the federal level. I mean, the Constitution, our founding fathers set up a system that is not rapidly changeable. You know, it's the Titanic. It takes miles to turn and stop.
Yeah.
But local government, is closer to a speedboat. Like you can turn, you can make changes. But what we're seeing is all these people come out and they vote and Bernie because he's going to have a revolution, and I guarantee you 90% of them will not vote at all next year.
Right.
Where they could actually create
that's the
revolutions in Columbus and Cleveland. You know,
Yeah.
you really could take over and create good progressive change in some of these cities.
People
So like,
think
pay
they vote
attention.
for president and that's magically going to, and it's like, no, like that's not how any of this works. He doesn't get to set the minimum wage for your city. He doesn't get to set how the school system's going to work. None of the local people do. And like you said, none of these people get out and vote in local elections and then wonder why nothing has changed because you voted for a president who has no power to change what happens for you locally.
No. I mean, the president is really important for Supreme Court nominees, which we'll talk about later. But like, you know, and so voting for president's really important. But like, come out and actually make change every day, and let's see how we can, you know, that revolution can happen. But it needs to start at the bottom up. It can't just magically happen overnight at the federal government level. It's just.
It does start from the bottom up. Our agenda for today's show is from the top down.
Yes.
So on that note, I'm going to move on. So Sunday, they had all of these events. Everybody was speaking. Monday, everybody went out and hit the streets. Tuesday, Ohio voted.
Yay.
No more Trump TV commercials on my television.
Yes.
There was Trump commercials on?
Oh my God, you didn't see them. Oh, help us all.
Oh no, I didn't see it.
Although I agreed with one for a minute and it made me feel really bad, but it was this whole like, Kasich is wrong for Ohio. We don't need him in the White House. And I was like, well, yeah, kind of, but we don't need you either.
We don't need either of you.
Right. So Ohio, Illinois, Florida, Missouri, and North Carolina voted. I think Missouri is still a little bit on the fence, but Hillary.
It was really close.
Yeah, I think Missouri's maybe doing some local recounts. Hillary won all the other states. She crushed Ohio. I had some friends who were honestly a little bit worried that we would end up screwing it up like Michigan screwed it up because Michigan screws up everything.
I mean, it's not a big surprise. We were way better than Michigan. Let's just put that out there.
Hillary crushed it. She won 80 of 88 counties. It was like a 66 to 34 margin. 60 something to 30 something margin. Absolutely.
Actually, I think it ended in the 50s, but it was still double digits.
It was a really solid win carrying Ohio. Along with all of those other states that are listed. So this gives her, it adds to her massive lead in delegate counts.
She's now has a bigger delegate split with Bernie than Obama did at any point in time in 2008.
Right. Yeah. I looked back at the numbers for how that was because I thought, oh, geez, Hillary and Bernie, this is pretty tight. Hillary and Obama in 2008 was absolutely neck and neck.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, it was, almost 50-50 on delegate splits.
And she won Ohio and it pulled her back in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be an uphill battle for him now. I don't think he can get it.
Yeah. I don't think the math is with him.
I mean, I don't think he was going to, but I don't say that to be like me. I like Bernie Sanders a lot. I like a lot of his ideas.
He's very valuable as a Vermont senator that caucuses with the Democrats.
I'm glad. I'm glad he ran because he did push her. I feel like he did push her, to be even more progressive. So I'm glad he ran just for that fact. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think he did a good job.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, coordination was not what the Democratic Party needed because, we needed a little bit of a fight to introduce people. When the Republican Party is the only one that has a contested primary, our candidates don't get the media attention. They don't get the wherewithal that they need to go into a general election. So you need a good primary. So.
Right. Hillary had a possibly complete sweep. Except for Ohio, Donald Trump had a sweep. He swept all of the other states.
Killed Rubio in his home state.
Like 20 points.
Yeah.
And he came in third. Wasn't Cruz second? Or did I read that wrong?
Think so. But so Rubio, so Cruz has a commanding lead in delegates, and Rubio is out.
Yes.
So no more little Marco.
Aw, little Marco.
But here in Ohio, John Kasich did win his home state. That was the deciding factor. Had he lost Ohio, he would have dropped out. He said so
He
on
needs to
multiple
drop out
occasions.
anyway, though.
No, he
doesn't.
doesn't. No, he doesn't. He needs to stay in that race as long as he drops out. He comes back here. We don't need him here.
I mean, he's gonna come back anyway because he's not going to.
But just delay it a little longer.
I don't know though. I mean, so it's a 3-man race now.
They're gonna have a broker convention.
They
I want it to
in
happen.
Cleveland, Ohio. It's gonna be so
that's
fabulous.
So scary. But at the same time, it's kind of like, oh, that's like we've never seen that before. That would just be a cool thing to see. But at the same time, it's like they've already ordered like riot gear because when the Trump supporters get there and they try to like push him out and put somebody else in,
right?
It's gonna be. I mean, look at his rallies already now.
Yeah,
and if that happens, it's going to be complete chaos.
Yeah. I've been calling Kasich's delegates Veep chips because I think that's totally what he's going for right now.
With Trump, I mean, I don't
think he wants to be on the ticket with Trump.
No, I think we're looking at a Cruz Kasich ticket. I think he talks to Ted Cruz. Cruz is still in the U.S. Senate, needs to maintain respectability with the Republican Party, respectability that Donald Trump has never had and does not need.
Well, but
Cruz
doesn't have either. I mean, they hate Cruz.
Yeah, they don't like him.
Well,
I mean, Lindsey Graham got up there and said choosing between Donald Trump and Ted Cruz was choosing between stabbing yourself and shooting yourself. I mean,
but he has more delegates.
He does.
And he's got a tie to the actual Republican establishment, a very loose tie. And so I think Rubio hands his delegates over to Kasich. And then Kasich and Cruz have to combine their delegates somehow. And so it either ends up being Kasich-Cruz or Cruz-Kasich, depending on who wins most of the remaining states. Yeah. And that's how they keep Donald Trump off the ticket. That's my guess. I'm throwing it out there.
You know what?
What, Randy?
That would be awesome because that ticket would definitely lose.
I don't know. I mean,
your lips to God's ears.
Because I
think it would definitely lose.
But that's the problem with Trump. We see it with like the abortion bans. They introduced this crazy 6-week ban that makes a 20-week ban not seem so crazy anymore. Like Ted Cruz is a nutbag.
Yeah.
Yes.
And would be the nutbag in the race if there wasn't a bigger one.
True.
So, Cruz, actually, all of them are equally as bad at this point. I mean,
their policies are all the same.
But, I just really can't get over the fact that Ted Cruz runs based on government doesn't work for the people and the government sucks. I'm like, then why do you want to lead it?
Yeah.
If government can't do anything for anyone, why do you want to be in charge of it? It doesn't make any sense.
Destroy this thing I work for.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly. You are the leader of the government that you think shouldn't exist.
Yes.
Which is not a new idea. I mean, that's what Karl Rove used as his philosophy to get Bush into office. They wanted to destroy the federal government.
Yeah, and he made it bigger than it had ever been before. But, details. So yeah, it was... Can we talk about Chris Matthews last night?
Yeah.
Talking about how
in this noisy bar. Can MSNBC get Chris Matthews out of the noisy bars? That's always like the B set, and they're like, "Let's kick it over to Chris Matthews," and he's screaming because there's like 500 people all drunk behind him.
Okay, so maybe hopefully maybe keep a fingers crossed that he had a few before he said these words that I'm about to speak out loud.
Okay,
because he said that Kasich should be Hillary's VP.
What?
I think he said this before, and that's about the dumbest thing ever.
Why would Kasich be Hillary's vice president?
Because he's this moderate, rational, reasonable guy. Didn't you know that, Randy?
Any research on Kasich whatsoever before making that statement?
Obviously not. Yeah. I didn't actually see the clip. I just saw the reaction in my Twitter
I heard Chris
feed.
Chris Matthews say that.
And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me here?
Exactly.
Kasich, number one, is a Republican and Hillary is very solid. This whole idea that Hillary is this moderate too, it annoys the crap out of me when we talk about Hillary is a moderate and Kasich is a moderate, because Kasich is a whacked out conservative Republican. He just acts like a moderate. And Hillary is a very progressive Democrat. I mean, she's the reason Obama could get healthcare through, because she tried it when Bill was in office. She is the reason Plan B is over the counter. So if you enjoy going to your pharmacy and getting emergency contraception over the counter without a prescription, that was Hillary Clinton. I mean, she has been a champion for so many of these issues for so long that, you know, again, because she doesn't come off as this, you know, crazy idealist, but this pragmatist, we assume that her ideas are not all the way over here. You know, yes, this is what she wants to accomplish, but she knows that in order to start getting there, we need to start here and work our way there. Yeah. And so, you know, they both get painted in this moderate place. I mean, basically, Chris Matthews was saying these two people are exactly the same. Like,
No.
He's going to start making me throw things at the television.
It's not like the
Yeah.
other.
And Kasich gave his normal Kasich standard speech, which we're all very used to. People who have not sat around listening to this annoying garbage haven't heard it before. It's this sort of meandering, rambling, Lord only knows what's going to come out of his mouth next, sort of victory speech. I was doing the Twitter for us last night during his speech, so I took the time on the tweeters to let people know about Kasich's real record, to demonstrate exactly why he is much more extreme, much more conservative than the other candidates are. He has the most extreme record on women's choice. As a member of Congress, John Kasich cast 118 anti-choice votes. As governor, 17 anti-abortion or funding cuts have been signed. He's blocked Planned Parenthood from HIV tests, funding for HIV tests, funding for breast and cervical cancer screenings, funding for sex ed, funding to help rape survivors, funding to help reduce Ohio's infant mortality rate. He's an absolutely terrible governor for women and families. And people need to realize that.
It's terrible on education. There's a woman they were speaking to here, and she was like, they were talking about who you're going to vote for. They're like, what about your governor Kasich? She was like, definitely not him. And he was like, oh, why? And she's like, well, my daughter's a teacher, and I hate what he's done for education. I mean, the charter school system here is terrible. It's really, really bad. So, I mean, yes, on women and family issues, but also like on education, on the environment. Like we have fracking now. Like it's just, he's not. He's moderate.
Like BFFs with the coal industry. I mean, he is everything but a moderate. So
exactly.
So that was the presidential race last night. The big primaries. Also on the ballot in Ohio, Ted Strickland won his bid to be the Democratic nominee for U.S. Senate. He'll challenge Rob Portman for Ohio's Senate seat in November. Ted Strickland was endorsed by NARAL Pro-Choice America. Our national office does the congressional endorsement. So Ted Strickland gets the big thumbs up from us. So hopefully we'll have him in the Senate to continue being a champion for women here in Ohio.
It'll be awesome.
Then we endorsed state legislative races. We had 8 victories. We're very proud of the folks that we've given the thumbs up to. We'll continue to build endorsements when we move towards the general election. There were some candidates that maybe they didn't have a primary competitor. Maybe we just, didn't get back their candidate questionnaire in time to issue an endorsement. So we'll be putting out a full slate of pro-choice champions for Ohio voters to look forward to supporting in the November election. But one state legislative battle that's totally worth talking about is Janet Folger Porter, who tried to get into the Ohio Senate.
Oh, it was the best thing ever. Usually I don't. We just talked about how we don't enjoy people running for office that, want to dismantle it, but that would have been good. So Janet Folger Porter is the originator of the heartbeat bill. She was Ohio Right to Life's legislative director for a very long time. And then
she was Ohio Right to Life's director and then went rogue.
And then she went rogue from there. And so she created her own Faith to Action group. She moved it to Florida for a while and then came back to Ohio to introduce the heartbeat bill. Yay, welcome back. So we've been battling with her on that. And so, she's been going after the Republican establishment from the very beginning. I mean,
Right.
big, huge blow up rhinoceroses on the, state house steps about the rhinos and everything else. So when she
for as anti-choice as the state legislature is, they do recognize that is a blatantly unconstitutional idea, the 6-week ban, and they weren't going to spend, tax dollars in a court battle that they would lose. And as that's played out, North Dakota actually did lose that battle. So there's now legal precedence.
Yeah. We just spent money having hearings and having votes on it, but it didn't go anywhere. But they still did all of that.
Oh, yeah. But the Senate hasn't. So, the Senate has really been the target of all of Janet's ire for the last many years. So she decided to take on Obhoff, who is actually second in charge in the Ohio Senate and kind of the heir apparent to become the next
Senator
president.
Larry Obhoff of the, Mansfield area?
Yeah.
I think it's somewhere around
there. North Royalton, kind of like North Central. And so it was a very, very, he's like the establishment. He's about to become the president of the Senate. And she is about as far away from that as possible. So Ohio Right to Life actually endorsed Obhoff and not Janet, which ignited this ridiculous back and forth between the two of them about how Ohio Right to Life endorsements don't really mean somebody's pro-life anymore.
Because Ohio Right to Life opposes the heartbeat bill.
Yes.
Which is a weird thing.
Yeah.
So she went after Obhoff because Ohio Right to Life endorsements really don't mean that you're pro-life anymore. And then Ohio Right to Life and Obhoff actually went back after Janet, calling her pro-choice because 20 years ago she supported the lesser of two evils in some congressional race, and that candidate was pro-choice. So Obhoff replied with, well, Janet Folger Porter is really actually pro-choice and you shouldn't trust her. So, radio ads, TV ads, mail pieces, the pre-filing was something like $250,000. It wouldn't surprise me if they spent $500,000 keeping him in office. She did lose. Obhoff did win that primary.
Right.
Which means that we won't have quite as much entertainment as could have been if she had been in the Ohio Senate.
Right. Because her big project lately has been trying to get Ohio senators to push a special petition, discharge petition to force a vote on the heartbeat bill.
Yeah.
Even though the Senate president didn't want to call it up for a vote, she was going to get them to force it. And if she had gotten a Senate seat, then she would be making that campaign, from inside the state house.
Which again would be awesome and fabulous because then Kasich would have to decide whether or not to sign it, and he would really not want to have to do that. So because and it's one of those things where we would never say any of this stuff about a 20-week ban or those kind of things because the 6-week ban is blatantly unconstitutional. It would never go into effect. Pass it all you want. It is never actually going to impact women getting healthcare services like all of the other bills. And that's the other ridiculous thing about this whole thing is, Janet wants this one bill that will do absolutely nothing to stop or restrict access to abortion, where Obhoff has, signed off on all 17 of the things that Kasich actually did.
Right.
Is another kind of we paint Obhoff as the moderate because he won't support the heartbeat bill. But
no, he's horribly anti-choice.
Yeah, Obhoff has actually done way more to restrict access to abortion. He's partially responsible for half of the clinics closing in the state.
Right.
But we're labeling him as a moderate because he won't pass this completely unconstitutional 6-week ban, which would absolutely do nothing. So that's another one of those kinds of situations. But yeah, that was fun to watch. She actually encouraged all of our people to fast and pray over the last week because fasting and praying was going to be what made her get elected to the state Senate.
Has she ever run a campaign before?
Her fasting and praying is her go-to.
Yeah.
It's worked so well for her, seeing as how the heartbeat bill's gone nowhere.
Yeah.
She's asked people to fast and pray for a lot of things that never come true. Maybe she should try something else.
Yeah.
So the last election that we should talk about here real quick, John Boehner, he left Congress last year. He essentially got forced out by Jim Jordan's group. So Congressman Jim Jordan, incredibly conservative, one of the most conservative members of Congress from that same North Central Ohio area.
Boehner's district is Southwest Ohio.
Right. He led a revolt.
Yeah.
And so then to replace Boehner, Jim Jordan picked somebody from my hometown of Troy
Mhm.
to run to fill that seat. It was like a 13-way primary. I mean, there was
there were
everybody.
It looked
in
like
this
the
thing.
Republican presidential primary race.
Wow.
And one of the candidates for that race was State Representative Tim Derrickson. He's the chair of what we lovingly refer to as the Abortion Committee.
Yep.
He likes to pray.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Derrickson got the endorsement from the Cincinnati Enquirer. That apparently is nowhere near as good as $1 million of ultra conservative campaign cash from Jim Jordan's people.
Freedom Works.
Yeah. And so, what's his name again? Warren Davidson.
Yeah.
Is now the Republican nominee and likely member of Congress from Ohio's district down there in that sort of suburban Cincinnati, suburban Dayton area.
Have fun, Paul Ryan.
Yeah. So, I mean, he is now the new lieutenant of the ultra conservative wing of the congressional Republicans.
Yeah.
Yay.
Mm-hmm.
So
we get Derrickson back.
Yay.
Yay. And it probably means he's going to start having committee hearings again because he's not running for Congress anymore.
That might be. So that was the election. So
yay.
Anything else on that, or should we
should probably
wrap it up and move on? So earlier this morning, 11 a.m., President Obama announced his Supreme Court nominee.
Yep.
And the Republicans promptly said, "We told you we weren't going to talk about that.
Right.
Stop it."
So Judge Merrick Garland is the U.S. District Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia. It's the Circuit Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia, which President Obama referred to as kind of being the second highest court in the land. It's where a whole lot of Supreme Court justices come from.
Yeah, it is kind of the bench team for SCOTUS, for sure.
So Judge Garland, he's not yet Justice Garland. He's had a long history. He's in his mid-60s. He's a white guy. So this will be the first male that President Obama has put up for the Supreme Court. There was a lot of people hoping that it was going to be a black woman. But it's not. So
yeah, I think Obama walked
Maybe
a fine
Hillary
line.
will pick
Yes,
up
exactly.
a black woman. Do it, Hillary. If you're listening, which you're probably not, you should do it.
Yeah, I think he had to walk a fine line on this one too, because he had to put somebody forward that it was basically a dare to the Republicans.
Yes.
Like, I dare you to vote against this milquetoast white man. I mean, and he really is. I mean, the most basic 60-year-old looking white man. White hair,
right,
glasses, navy blue suit, standing next to Obama today.
Yeah.
But
now I feel like we started off by like, it's going to be Loretta Lynch, and then it just eventually worked its way down. And Judge Garland definitely sounds like a terrific, pick. But he's
very
clearly
moderate.
He's clearly the compromise.
Yes.
So
for
we'll
sure.
see.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, and that's why we need hearings. The press release out of NARAL Portraits America today was, this guy deserves hearings because we all deserve to hear more about where he stands on a lot of issues that are before the court. This isn't just, a hearing to, appease Obama or do whatever. Like, the American public deserves to know where he stands. And because especially on reproductive rights and those kinds of things, the Supreme Court hears those cases a lot.
Yeah.
Talking about one right now.
Right.
So, it's sad that, our own home state, Rob Portman, saying that he will not, support hearings and will not, meet with them. And
right.
I mean, they're like 2-year-olds. It really is like, no, I can't see you. You don't exist because you're not in my view.
I'm like, what is their plan for November? Like, I don't understand them. Like, what do they think? How do they think that by not even giving it consideration? And it's not like we're saying, oh, you definitely have to appoint this person. Like, just freaking have a meeting with them. Like, you can't even have a meeting with them? Like, come on. I mean, how is that helping them? I don't understand how that's supposed to help them in November, especially when a lot of them are up and a lot of people are going to be voting because it's a presidential election. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then you're going to have possibly Donald Trump as your nominee. That's just going to poison your ticket all the way down. Like, okay, do whatever. I mean, if that's what y'all want to do, implode yourselves, I guess that's what you want to do.
Lord only knows what sort of Better Call Saul nominee that Donald Trump would come up with.
Oh my God.
Really?
Yeah. Somebody earlier today was like, Donald Trump nominee. I'm like, stop. Like, I don't even want to think those words. No.
Right.
Not at all.
But no nomination process has ever taken, I think, like 120 days was as long. And we're still, over 250 days out.
It's March.
Yeah. So there's absolutely plenty of time for the Senate to hold hearings to figure out if they like this guy or not. If they want to reject him, then do it through an up or down vote. Don't just, sit on this like a bunch of cowards.
Yeah.
And so we are asking all of our supporters to go to, we've got a URL here. It's bit.ly/doyourjob2016. You can send an email to Ohio's U.S. senators. It'll go to Sherrod Brown, who we already know is pledged to take action on this.
Yes.
He supports having a vote. And to Rob Portman, who's the one who needs to participate in the system through which he works.
Yes.
He needs to do his job.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and the other part of this is that these are the people who crow all the time about the Constitution. It's not a living document. It is supposed to be read and interpreted literally and blah, blah, blah. And like, this is what the Constitution says. The president appoints and the Senate
shall nominate.
Shall consider the nomination.
Right.
And so
it doesn't say unless it's an election year.
Yeah.
Right.
Or the president's black. Because that's totally why it is.
Or unless we have a black president. I mean, geez, you had 40, 42 white presidents. We get one black president, so y'all lose y'all damn minds. Like, I mean, really,
Trump is totally the reaction to that. And this SCOTUS fight is about that. It's, it wouldn't be happening on the other side. And yeah, Democrats and Republicans all play politics with Supreme Court nominees. Like, we can point to example on both sides where people have said, well, we shouldn't have hearings because of this or that or whatever. But in the end, they happen. I was listening to somebody on CNN, like, it's always a lot of bloviating and a lot of, contention around Supreme Court nominees. But in the end, it's not a partisan political thing. We meet with the person, we have hearings, and we give them a vote. And that, so the president did his job and nominated somebody. It's time for the Senate to do theirs.
Right. Yeah. Well, Rob Portman was quoted in the Dispatch this afternoon saying his line, "We should let the people decide. This is not about the person. It's about the principle."
The people did decide. They elected Barack Obama twice.
The principle of what? Exactly.
I don't know. I mean, I thought
What
the
does that
principle
even
was
mean?
that, we will have a president who will make an appointment and then the Senate that will hold hearings.
We have a president right
the principle
now.
is we have this system that we're all going to follow. These are the rules,
Yeah.
So my principle is to break the rules because I don't like the rules. Again, we're 2-year-olds.
Yes.
Senate is full of a bunch of 2-year-olds.
Right.
Except for Sherrod Brown and a couple of other ones.
A couple other people. Just a few other people.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So do you want to tell us how people can get involved?
Yes. Let's get it on. Obviously, we have a lot of work to do because we got a lot of batshit crazy people. So this Sunday, we're having a day-in rally in front of Dr. Haskell's clinic, Women's Med Center. It's at 1401 East Street Road in Kettering. It's going to be this Sunday from 1:30 to 3. And yours truly will be there speaking. We'll have some other, supporters, activists there. And basically, the doctors there have been getting harassed a lot. We just want to come out and show them that, there are people, local residents who support them and are happy that they're, providing women with safe legal abortions, as is our constitutional right as it stands at the current moment. Depending on who the next nominee is, it could always go another way. Also, our advocacy day, you can still sign up online for that. It's going to be April 13th. It's bit.ly/pro-choice 2016. So please sign up for that. It's always a good time. We had a really good lobby day last year. Sure will be good again. Tonight we're having our Columbus Women of Color happy hour. from 5:30 to 8 in the Carriage House, which is right by our office on 61 Jefferson Avenue in Columbus. But next Thursday, we're having a screening of the movie. I'm probably going to say the title wrong. 4 months, 3. It's a Romanian film about abortion. And we're going to be screening that at the Athens Theater in Athens, Ohio, partnering with the Med Students for Choice and Planned Parenthood to screen that next Thursday, March 24th.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay. We all set for this week?
Guess so.
Okay. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.